welcome. My name is Shannon. My pronouns are they, them. And today we have a 30-minute yin practice. For yin, if it is helpful for you, you can of course put a blanket or towel down on your mat for a little bit of extra softness. Today is going to be all low, seated, a little bit of reclined, a little bit of prone on our bellies practice. We'll go ahead and come into posture, and we'll stay in the posture throughout our grounding. So if it's comfortable, we can come into butterfly or Baddha Konasana. So we can bring the soles of the feet together, knees apart. Remember, we can use a bolster beneath the knees, or a block beneath the knees. I'm seated on a bolster so that my hips are a little bit higher. And we'll take a moment, settle in, find the sit bones. Make sure that we feel comfortable. We might see if we can find a bit of length through the spine. Our hands can sit anywhere against a body that's comfortable for us. And then when we're ready, if we like, we can close our eyes or find a soft gaze. We might take a few deep breaths, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth if that's helpful. Maybe releasing with a sigh or vocalization. Letting ourselves let go of the day. And when we're ready, we'll find our natural breath, whatever that feels like for us. So with our yin practice, it's really a practice about releasing joints, ligaments, tendons. And so I find it's helpful to do my best to let go during my grounding, to kind of release a bit. Sometimes that becomes my intention for the practice. Letting go. Sitting with things as they come up. But you can set whatever intention for your practice feels good for you today. We'll take a few minutes here noticing the breath, noticing our intention for our practice today. And when we're ready, if we like, we can slowly begin to blink the eyes open, bring any movement into the body that feels good. We are going to move into our second posture, and we're going to be coming into a one-legged forward fold, straddle, butterfly, whatever you want to call it. All aspects of yoga seem to have different names for asana, so it gets a little confusing. But we're going to start by bringing the right leg out to the side, and then bringing the left leg in as far as is comfortable. We'll take a moment here and make sure that we feel supported. If you are somebody who's hypermobile, who does maybe have connective tissue distortion, maybe consider putting a rolled blanket or pillow beneath the knee. And then from here, we're going to come into a fold. So I'm going to start by bringing the belly between the legs so I have more space. Like I said, I'm seated on a bolster so my hips are higher. We can also grab our blocks if we like for support, hinging forward. And here it's about finding a position that we can maintain for about 2 minutes. So whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you're resting on forearms, maybe you've stacked your blocks and you're resting your head. Whatever feels good today. If we like, we can kind of direct our attention to those areas that do feel a little tight, and maybe take a few deep inhales and releasing exhales, focusing on releasing muscle tension in that area. Another thing to note with yin is that we're kind of sitting just before the edge. So if you are noticing that you are in a state of extreme discomfort, step back, maybe come a little bit higher up. Where you want to find is, and this is going to sound strange, but a comfortable discomfort. I'm pushing slightly, but I can maintain this for an extended period of time kind of sensation. is what we're generally looking for in all of our postures today. When we're ready, we'll slowly press up out of the position. We can bring the right foot in, back through our butterfly. We're going to come into a folded butterfly here, again holding for 2 minutes. So as deep or as shallow as feels good. We're just looking for right before our edge. If we notice that breath feels a little constricted from the thigh pressing into the belly, pressing into the heart space, maybe into the throat, we have a few options. We can send the breath to the back body, maybe noticing how the back ribs expand with our inhale. Or we can open the legs up as wide as we need to create space for the belly. We'll slowly begin to press up. Again, finding length. This time we're going to release the left leg, stretching it out. And remember, different sides of the body have different levels of mobility, so feel free to make any adjustments you need as you fold forward one more time. Beautiful. We'll be here for 2 minutes. We'll come into a full forward fold, so bringing the legs out to the sides if that's comfortable. Remember, we can point the toes up for more sensation along the back line. Again, we can use our blocks, we can walk our hands down our legs, whatever's comfortable here for our forward fold. So if we like, we can also use a bolster, come all the way down to the ground, whatever feels good. So bringing the belly between the legs, hinging at the hips. We'll be here for 2 more minutes. When we're ready, we can slowly begin to press up. Beautiful. From here, we'll be coming into deer legs. So we're going to start from Baddha Konasana. That's just an easier way to note. We're going to bring the right leg back out. Now, if we want, we can keep the leg out, or we can fold it behind us to make these two kind of 90-ish degree angles. And the other thing we have the option of is resting back slightly on our hand. We can use a block beneath us if we want to lean on something other than our wrist. And we're going to hold here for about 2 minutes. So of course we can be upright as well if that's more comfortable. But if you're like me today and having a little bit of joint discomfort in the hip, this is a nice way to get the stretch through the legs, but give yourself a little bit of space in the hip. You also have the option, if you like, of bringing the arm up overhead in this position if you're tilted. So whatever feels comfortable for you today. when we're ready, if we like, we can start to release the leg or press up, whatever feels more comfortable to do first. We'll bring the legs back together. If we need to move any props to the opposite side, we can. And then we'll extend the left leg, and option to bring the leg around behind us. So again, finding an angle if we'd like to lean at an angle. Option to bring the arm overhead if we like. You notice I'm only holding it for about a minute overhead. We can pick and choose here. And when we're ready, we can again begin to press up or bring the leg forward. Beautiful. From here, we're going to come into a reclined position. So we'll be lying on our back if that's comfortable for us. We might want to keep the blocks handy just in case we'd like to reach them for anything. And if our head or neck tends to get a little sore, we can feel free to use a folded pillow just beneath the head and the neck, letting the shoulders rest against the mat. I'm going to move my bolster out of the way and recline backwards. I'm going to bring the soles of the feet down to the ground, lifting the knees. And we'll come through a few windshield wipes here. So bringing the knees towards the right, inhaling up, exhaling down the left. And we'll do this as many times as we like. And whenever we are ready, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees rest to the sides. So if we like, we can grab our blocks, place them beneath the knees for a little bit of support. And we'll take a few deep breaths again, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth. We might let the arms fall to the sides or up overhead. We can also have the hands against the body. And we'll sit in our reclined butterfly for the next 2 minutes or so. Here, I would like to offer the option to remain in this position if you like. If you're feeling like, yeah, I think I've done what I need to do today, feel free to stay here or to lengthen the legs and come into Savasana. But if you'd like a little bit of heart opening, we're going to roll onto the belly. We will bring the elbows beneath the shoulders, hands against the mat, into our Sphinx. So we'll press the top of the feet down into the mat. And if this feels a little intense for heart opening or a little intense on the back, we can also walk the hands forward, putting the elbows before the shoulders. And we'll be here for about 2 minutes. And now, if we're not there already, we'll transition into our final resting position. I'd like to offer a stomach lying Shavasana today. So if we like, we can remain where we are. We can use a block, pillow, or blanket beneath the head if we like. Or we can fold our hands and rest our head on our hands and arms. Or of course, we can come into any other position that is comfortable for us. We can come into a traditional Shavasana lying on our backs, or anything that feels good. And we'll be here for the next few minutes. You may choose to connect with the breath or watch your thoughts during our Shavasana. When we're ready, we'll come back to the breath, noticing the inhale and exhale. If we are reclined, we might roll onto the right or left side. If we are on our bellies, we might gently bring the hands beneath the shoulders, press into tabletop. I like to add in a couple cat-cows here just for a little bit of spinal mobility. And then we'll make our way into a seated position. We can bring our hands to heart center or anywhere against the body that feels good. And we'll take 3 breaths together in a way that feels good for us. We'll take a moment to thank ourselves for our practice today. And I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your practice with me